and do the right intro.
Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of the singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from Dating 101, why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way, too. They really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family? Because we can only take care of us. Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were on the down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune into Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio.
All right. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? Not too bad for Thursday afternoon. Not too bad.
Yeah. Somebody's tired. You know, I've been having these. Listen, Adam, ever since somebody pushed on somebody to finish something, they ain't been able to get no sleep. The past week and a half, they just been on fleek. So
really? Not all. You bringing that?
All everything is all the wheels is spinning in my brain. Look, that's the reason for this topic. But anyway, all the wheels is spinning now. So yeah, man, I had a pretty good week. I'm a little tired. I haven't, like I said, I feel like most of my rest has been coming in the morning, but at night I ain't been sleeping, so it's been a little crazy. But anyway, so man, another week, you know, if we're talking about popular events. Oh, really quick. Okay, Barbershop Chronicles, and we're gonna move along. It's from one week to the next is something. Last week, I didn't bring it up. We were talking last week, and you know, he was talking about how this whole dynamic of him not feeling appreciated, how because he does everything, like she doesn't work, right? So he's taking everything, and I think they share a vehicle or what have you. So they do all their little things to make it work. Mm-hmm. But he has his little frustrations that he vents at the shop. But this is what got me. He went into all of this about that. Then he mentioned, like, I hope he never finds his channel. I don't think he ever will. But anyway, then he mentioned, Adam, that the girlfriend mentioned to him the idea of bringing somebody in.
What?
Yeah, she mentioned to him, and I said, but isn't she a little younger? I know the younger generation is off the hook today, but I was a little bit like, seriously? She talking about to him bringing somebody in. I joked with him. I said, well, I'm not going to ask you whether she meant this. The same sex as her or the same sex as you. That's right. But it may seem a little partial, but God, believe it. Anyway, so he said that. Then that was last week. So here, catch this. So he doing all this talk and making it seeming like she's spazzing out, right? With all of these nuances and thoughts she's coming up with. Right. Then Adam, while we in the chair, he cutting my hair. Then all of a sudden his phone rings. And here he go, hey, what's up, baby? Yeah, he flipped the script so quick. You would have thought he was married. All these babies and up to do this. And I'm just like, so when he got off the phone, I said, you know what, man? I said, let me just say this to you. You are not being transparent with how you feel with her.
Yeah.
You're being transparent in this chair. But I said, there's no way you can flip the script and put on a whole different persona when she calls. But then when she's off the phone, you saying all this stuff. Right. Unless you're being quiet and you're not, you're stomaching all this and you're not mentioning any of it. Like you're just being quiet. Right. And so he tries to be tough, but he's a big teddy bear, basically. Okay. He tries to be tough, but I can see all the way through. He loves the girl and he's very sensitive, right? But he tries to bark like he's this big dog or whatever. I bring all that to say today, soon as we get into the chair good, the first thing he says is, yeah, man, she I might be looking for an apartment. And I said, the first thing I said, for y'all or for you? And he said, I mean, I'm trying to figure that out because she said something about, because both of them are from Alabama.
Okay.
She said something about going back to Alabama for the summer and getting an Airbnb and all this kind of whatever apartment or whatever. And so he said to me, yeah, I mean, I'm saying to her, I'm gonna tell her, look, if you're gonna go to Alabama and if you taking furniture and all this stuff with you, don't try to bring nothing back up because when you come back up, it's gonna be different. Like he was trying to say, if she leaves, he's gonna come back and he's gonna be this different person. Okay. And he got real quiet for a minute about that particular, because I know that probably was a gut punch. Her talking about going back home, right? Especially after he'd been taking care of or whatever. Right. So I said, so what you think about that? I mean, I just think it's messed up if she actually go through with it or whatever. And I said, one thing I always tell you, I said, there are the feelings that we have and we muster and we deal with. But I said, but when it comes to someone wanting to make a decision, I said, first you got to sit back and see, is it a bluff because they want changed behavior? Right. Sometimes people say things because they want changed behavior. Yeah. But if they are stuck on what they're feeling and saying and they want to move on, then don't stand in their way. I said, the last thing you can do is stand in the way of somebody that wants to go. Because if they want to go and if they stay for pity reasons, you're going to have a miserable existence going forward. Because you're going to be thinking your trust is going to get leery. You're going to be thinking that you're going to be feeling like the charity lover. Nobody wants to feel that way. So I said, you got to come to grips with that in yourself. Yeah. But I said, I know it doesn't feel good. I know you're trying to be tough. But I said, you got to ration with that to see whether or not that's something she's legitimately wanting to do, or is this some immature stuff we need to sort through? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that dude. Okay, so let's deal with the first thing, the fact that she's thinking about trying to bring somebody else into the relationship.
Yeah, that was last week. I'm like, come on, man, you got too much going on.
The reality is this relationship is so unstable.
Yes.
You can't even handle the people that are already in it. Yeah. How can you bring somebody else up in it? It's going to literally be a free-for-all. That's what it's going to be. It's going to boil down to every man for himself. It's going to be a free-for-all. That's crazy, dude. Yeah. That's absolutely crazy. So here's the thing, though. My brother, whoever he is, wherever he is, and whatever he's doing, dude, he need to get his stuff and he need to go. And I've been saying since jump. Because it's obvious to everybody. Everybody who's in the comments, everybody who's watching the show, even people next door in the store next door to the barbershop realize that this chick don't care about this guy.
Yeah, Rude
about this guy. It's all about her and what she wants to do. She's taking advantage of this dude. And for whatever reasons, he's so love blind. I was going to say something else, but he's so love blind.
Right.
I mean, he's so love blind, he can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
She's able to dupe him and manipulate him at every single turn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's not even thinking about his own good, his own interests. He's all about her and, trying to make this. It's not, listen, at some point in time, you have to realize and recognize this is not working.
Yeah. He's trying to hold on for dear life. And I'm like, in real time, it's not working.
It's not working. And here's the thing. Here's how you really know it's not working. When it's not in your best interest to continue to pursue a relationship. See, relationships, as we all know, we all go to school, we understand that relationships are reciprocal.
Yeah.
You ought to be able to receive a benefit, a return on your relational investment, just like I received a dividend on my relationship investment. But if one of us aren't receiving, if only one of us is receiving a benefit, then that relationship is not working the way it's supposed to be working. That's the problem, man. She gonna pack up all the furniture, move the furniture out of the apartment, go back down to Alabama, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Be gone.
You don't get a consideration. He don't get a vote. He don't get a chance to voice how he feels. He doesn't get a chance to say, I don't want you to do this, or I would like to go with you. He don't get a chance to do none of that.
Wow.
Oh, nah. We got to go. We got to go. Bro.
You gotta go sooner than later. Sooner than later, you need to go.
Come on, man. I'm serious right now. Oh,
yeah, I feel bad for him. I be like, boy, you stomaching some rocks over there. You getting some rocks thrown at you.
But Charles,
let's
have real talk right here.
Yeah.
The reality is, he's not the only black man. He's not the only man going through a situation like this in the world today.
Oh, absolutely.
There are so many other men who are good guys who just want somebody to love in their life. But they happen to run up on somebody who's willing to take advantage of them, manipulate them, and take them for all that they're worth.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, and here's the thing. Listen, the reality is that men have been doing this for a long time. I get that. I understand that. Yeah. But that doesn't make it right for somebody else, for a woman to do that to a man. That's just as wrong.
Yeah.
Just as wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I don't know if he's going to. I think, honestly, her leaving, if she's serious, that may be the wake-up pill he needs.
Right.
I think right now, as long as she's there, they got a little kid in the situation. It's not his, but it's a kid in the situation that he's playing pseudo pops to. Right. So it's kind of feeling like a cohesive unit. But the interior of it is all flaky and broken down, and so he's trying to hang in there. But I'm like, man, this is a lot.
If that's the case, then he need to let her go. Don't even fight. Just let her go. And sometimes, as hard as it is for us to admit to ourselves, sometimes it's just better to let them go.
Yeah,
because they don't mean you any good. They don't mean you. And I know all of us have been in relationships where we loved that person so much that we were willing to do anything for them. And for whatever reasons, they had their hooks in us. But the reality was the fact that they did not mean us any good.
Yeah. You know what I told him? You know what I told him? And he got a little halfway glassy eyed. So I jumped off of it and went to a joke. You know what I'm saying? But I told him, I said, man, I said, I'm much older than you. I said, but let me tell you, I've come into the truth of, you got to learn. I said, it's the maturity to get to a place to recognize and be well with something that doesn't work. See, a lot of times we will fight and fight and fight, trying to hold on to something that we know is deteriorating right in your hand. But we try. And at the end of the day, it's like, listen, life is too short. I said, it's too short. And I said, you got a lot of years to live to put yourself in a situation to be just like a lot of other men out here that are damaged from relationships. Right. And I said, all that does is add you to the mix of new men damaging women going forward because you hurt or you've been done a certain way, or vice versa. And so he got a little quiet, but I was just like, listen, don't try to hold on. I said, that's like think about a matador. I said, a matador will almost lose his life if he tried to hold on to a bull that's wanting to get away. The bull wants to get away. Guess what? They got sharp horns. You can't handle the kicks. Let it go, right? And in the relationship realm, you can't handle them kickbacks that happen when somebody is done and want to be away from you. You got to let them go, right? And just let it be. And he was like, oh, okay, so.
Because what ends up happening is with that matador, since we're going to go with that particular analogy, with that matador, if that matador is not aware of what's happening, he will get gored.
For sure, right? That's it.
He's going to get gored. You're going to get that horn in the belly real fast, real quick. Right. And then you're going to realize, I should have gotten out the way a long time ago. And isn't that the thing, though, Charles? That sometimes we don't realize that what we're in is not good for us. You know what I'm saying? It's what we want, and I've talked about this before. It's what we want, and how many of us have gotten what we want, but realized this is not what I really need?
That's it.
This is actually detracting from me. This is actually subtracting from me. This is tearing me down. The longer I stay in this particular situation, the less I am who I am. because of the fact that I'm in a situation that I should not be in the first place. I want, and here's the thing though, he's wrestling with what he wants versus what he actually needs.
Wow.
He wants her, but he don't need her.
Yeah.
Because she's not helping him.
Yeah, at all. And improving nothing about his life, to be honest. Right.
It's crazy, yo.
Wow. So, and as we transition from there and quickly get into it, so even though today's show we're talking about swapping out and commitment and the plight of that whole sharing thing that's happening nowadays, it's so kind of in sync when we look at the news and what's kind of in our face, whether we want to see it or not, the whole court case, right? And so the whole thing, and it just, what it does, man, when I listen to, don't get me wrong, okay, Freaky on different levels have been around for years, right? It's been around on different levels, right? This depends. But when you listen to these recantings and these things that has happened, it really places the reality. And this is not to be, now I'm going to do a disclaimer. This is not to be a spiritual necessarily point, but this show will have some spiritual elements in it today. But anyway, that it just points to how much of a reality that we are in the last days. We really are. When you hear things like that and just the whole inner workings of all the wickedness of it, you just like, good night. It's like, how do you even muster up pleasure amidst all of the abuse, psychological abuse, not just the physical, all that, but all that stuff is mental imprints that never leave. Those are things that stick with you for a long time, especially when you begin to normalize and become numb to things that really are grotesque. It should make you just be like, what in the world? But if you get to a point where you normalize it to the point where you expect it again, this has gone into another room. You know what I'm saying? Totally.
No, you're absolutely right. And even I was actually listening this morning to some of the testimony that was given in regards to the whole quote unquote freak offs and the various different scenarios and incidences that were taking place. And one of the things that came to my mind, Charles, was the fact that she had suffered such deep trauma that, like you said, it had become a normal behavior to her. Yeah. I think the other part of this too was the fact that she actually did love him.
Yeah.
She was in love with him. And I think often again, here we go again. We become so love blind that we allow ourselves to be denigrated to such a point that we no longer see ourselves as valuable, which means I'm not going to allow you to do anything that you want to me because I have intrinsic value. And so I realize that. But when you are the subject of such trauma and abuse to the point where it has become a normal everyday thing, you can't differentiate that between that and what is actually normal.
Yeah.
Because to you, abuse is normal.
Normal. Yeah.
Trauma is normal.
Yeah.
And so you don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. And what makes it even harder about that situation is it's not like she was, not that it changes the narrative at all, but it's not like she was going through that with your everyday Joe, right? She was going through that with a powerful man of means.
Right.
He's in a career trajectory. She wants to sing, act. So seemingly this man has the keys to these doors, right? So part of this dynamic is, I know this is messed up. I don't feel like I should. This was violent the other day. This was physical. This was freak offs the other day. But there are some sides to this person that I remember when we went to Monte Carlo, just making up whatever it is. Because the person of means can not only show you abuse, but can show you comfort. This is what we're going to get into today. And that comfort is what really messes a lot of people up, that comfort ride. is what gets you. Yeah.
Because they ease you into a state of relaxation and rest to such a point where, okay, I've gotten you in this place now. Now I'm going to show you what I'm really like.
Correct.
And this is the freaky aspect of who I am.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're going to be freaky, okay, all right, okay. That's what you like. That's what you want to do. And the both of you are in agreement with, as long as it's not involving children and we're not killing anybody in the process. Okay, fine. All right, whatever. But at the same time, again, like I said, you have to be able to say to myself, is this particular thing going to add some value to me? Am I going to continue to allow this person to do me in this way and I'm not in agreement with this? And again, this is what I'm saying, that sometimes because of the fact that we are so in love as much as we are in, we're not willing to see the errors and the flaws and the issues that are present before us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not willing to admit this is not right. You know what I'm saying? And now, granted, like you said, there was the promise of a music career or a movie career. There was the promise of that. But I believe that was just a tool of manipulation on his part to get her to a point where he could control her and put her in situations, whereas he was the only one to benefit from
it. Yeah. No, man, this is deep. So, okay. Do you have the write-up in front of you?
Oh my God! Yes, I have the write-up in front of me.
All right. So go.
What we doing now?
Yes, let's go ahead and we going back to basics. All right, go ahead.
Oh my God! Swapping out and commitment. The uncharted waters of today's toxic sharing culture. Once upon a time, the goal of two people looking to find love was to align, commit, and settle down with the person who captured both their hearts and minds. Well, years and several trends later, we now find ourselves at a place where we have created the concept of a trading post where we connect with other like-minded partners that don't mind the swap within our partnerships. Yes, many still desire true love in this traditional way. It seems they are more open to the reality of swapping out and committing all in one posture. The question that needs to be answered is, what is the way forward now? What about turning a blind eye or having an agreeable one? So,
all right. So, okay, let's just go ahead from here. You know, Mr. Ford, I've talked to some people. Okay, there's a few ways I could skin this. I've talked to some people who do this, right?
Okay.
I've been approached by some people who do this, right? And then in general, I just got knowledge on it. So the point is, all right, the argument that I had for a bit on this particular subject was, the person tried to explain to me the dynamics. Look, I love this person. We love one another. But this is the agreement we set between us, right? It's our loyalty lines that we set between one another. And we establish the boundaries, how far we want to push, the things we want to do, all of that.
Okay.
And I remember just saying to the person, well, if that's the case, your bedroom is your business, right?
Okay.
But why bring covenant into it? And I only said that to them is because this particular people are married, right?
Okay.
And I was saying to them, it's hard for me to wrestle with sharing and commitment. They are completely competing factors, right? So commit is, if you're committing and if you're getting married, you're sealing a ring between the two of you.
Right.
Which is the whole point of the ring. There's a seal saying we are closing this loop to the outside world and focusing on one another. So if we then go back and say, well, I think there's a part of the ring we can unscrew and open a little bit and let some people on the keychain. You know how your keychain, only need the door key, but you ever notice how the janitor come down the hall with all these keys? You'd be like, ching-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. So that's what we're doing in marriages and relationships. We don't have just one key on the ring. You can hear us because we have many keys. We have opened up our rings to facilitate many keys. Okay. So what's happening now is we are making like one partner. I'm not saying there aren't scenarios where both partners are on the same page. Right. It's coming into this, but I can almost guarantee you most of the time, one or another party is coerced by the other party. Okay. You're convinced. And so this takes me to this thought. What would make someone who goes into the traditional world of marriage or commitment be open to sharing? And the first thing I said is comfort. The person who's asking you to buy into this must make you as comfortable as possible with the idea, which then tells me you're trusting them. Okay. Now, I think on tonight, that when I think of this, Adam, I think about the word, right? Okay. And I thought about this and how the Bible tells us not to place confidence in man, meaning flesh. Like, don't trust flesh. You can be in commitment and covenant if you want to, right? Fine. But within reason, and I'm going somewhere with this on tonight, don't trust in the flesh. Now, this is where I was convicted myself, right? When I was thinking of this topic. Okay. And I said, woe unto us, shame on us, rather, that know better, but don't implement better, right? And what I mean by that is this. Most of us are in relationships and marriages, and we are totally reliant and confident upon our partners only. And we are not at all instituting the practice of faith. And when I say that, I'm not talking about church, so to speak. Right. What I'm saying is realizing that I have a relationship with this person or with that man or woman, but I'm not, me, myself, nor my partner is wise enough or strong enough to weather and chart the course of this relationship without the grace applied to our union. Okay. Through faith, right? And so what I'm saying is we don't pray and ask God to guide us to, like, we don't say, God, I know this is my wife or my husband, but as we chart along this course, realizing that we're imperfectly perfect, we humbly ask you to guide us, to help us when we are introduced with temptation, to be our vision, right? Be our path, be that lamp to our path to help us navigate life, right? We just say, you know what? My person got a good job. We got that bag. They got an 800 plus some credit score. I'm comfortable and fat in the land. I don't need nothing but that to depend on. Okay. And that is what a lot of us trust and believe in, which makes us open to those ploys that then come when someone wants to turn up the heat in the bedroom, right? Now it's going from, we done went from you and me just making love to so-and-so them down the street in the neighborhood, they be having swinger nights. Well, what is that? This wait, let me explain it first. It's totally safe. They take you through all of that, right? They take you through that whole dynamic. And then when you get done with feeling insecure as to why they asked you for it in the first place, you come back and say, well, we can maybe go. So you go to these places trusting in your person. Okay. First of all, we got to understand this. There is no good thing, Adam, that dwelleth in our flesh at all. All right. And I'm going to say this as a man, and I'm going to argue, I'll argue to the end of time. A man that commits to something for the purpose of covenant will not share it with anybody.
That's right.
When he commits to it for the purpose of covenant, I'm not talking about to say I got some baddies with me in my stable. But
Right.
if you're committing to someone, you can tell me all the ways up and down, but you're not respecting that man or woman, right? You're not properly loving that man or woman, if in fact you do. Because I'm questioning if you do, if you're doing this under the guise of marriage. You understand what I'm saying? If you're doing this under the guise of marriage, I know we lie to ourselves and fool ourselves into thinking what we are doing is okay as long as it's in agreement. It can be in agreement, but wrong.
Right.
Mobsters make ploys to assassinate, right? And they're on one accord, but it's wrong. The motive is wrong. It doesn't mean what you're trying to do isn't wrong. You can be in agreement all day, but you're in agreement for something that's not right.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, when we make the practice of sharing and sharing and sharing, we do like what it says in the word when we talk about we make what's designed to be a sensitive conscious, it becomes seared. And now the person is becoming numb, or the couple is becoming numb to the things that should normally say, yeah, this ain't right here. But after a while it becomes, yeah, we this is okay. And so quick little story. The one couple one time or two couples that had tried this with me, Adam, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I found in talking to them was the fun was on the front end, the preparation. When they were going out to go and meet these people to do what they were doing. The one person was getting all into her dress up and how she's going to look. And to be quite frank, I'm not going to be ashamed to say this one. The other one was getting in his diddler posture. He want to be Diddy 101.
Okay.
He likes to be the voyeur. He likes to watch what she does, right? And all these things and whatever little things in the background he does. Yeah. And so, but then when they described to me the ride back home, that was different. It was silent. They said they'll be silent in the car. And the woman was mad. She would get mad after the fact because she, from her perspective, she felt like she was doing it to please him. He on the other turn saying, I can't tell because the way you get dressed up and put together and be having your music on before we go, you act like it's something you really enjoy when we get there. So you know how conflicting that is to them. But see, their spirit shifts after the activity. But before it, they gain for it. But I think what happens is reality sets in. After you look, there's so many times you can look in a room. I don't care how much fun you thinking you having, and you're seeing a person that you said I do to, saying I to another person. So that's a whole thing, right? That's a thing. I don't care what nobody say. That takes a lot to get to a place to stomach and then return to normal life.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So Lord have mercy. So I'm not the one to have this conversation with because I don't believe in any of that at all. Okay. I'm not the guy who you would approach about a sharing arrangement because I can tell you right now. First of all, I'm selfish.
Okay.
I'm selfish, and I don't plan on sharing any part of my wife with anybody else. Now, granted, I'm not a jealous type.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna take what's mine and make it yours.
Wow.
Yeah. You stand. Yeah. You gonna take some of this right here. And I can actually speak for my wife on this as well. She's out of the country right now, but I can speak for my wife on this as well. She not sharing me with nobody.
Wow. Yeah.
She will cut you down, and then she'll cut me down. Because listen, Charles. So why would I sit here and make a covenant and a commitment and an agreement with somebody to be faithful to somebody and them alone, and then later down the line, hey, do you think we can bring somebody else up in this arrangement? Do you think we can bring somebody else up in here? Are you what?
Yeah.
You lost your mind? Are
Yeah.
you crazy? No. Why would you even think about it that way? Because in my mind, Charles, marriage is not something that we get into and then after we're in it, we decide we want to amend it like it's a constitution.
Oh wow. Wow. That's
So
what it is, an amendment.
we want to amend the covenant that we made with each other by adding in all these extra amendments.
Yeah.
And in doing that, we erode the original intention of the covenant, which was for us to be faithful to each other and to each other alone. So we're not sharing with nobody else. Nobody else gets a piece of this. And for those of you who are willing to share, I'm going to speak to you real quick. Those of you who are like, well, you know what? A little sharing is okay every now and then. Why would you only settle for a percentage of a person? Because I'm worth all of you, just like you're worth all of me, right?
Wow. Wow.
My wife is worth all of me, and I'm worth all of her. We're not going to sell each other short by only giving each other a percentage of who we are. So I'm only going to give you 75%. I'm going to hold on to this other 25 because I got somebody in the corner that's waiting on the 25 and they only want 25.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, talk to me, comment. Talk to me real quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to understand how is it that you don't, and I've talked about this before, we actually started talking about this at the beginning of the show. How is it that you don't value yourself enough to understand that you are worth 100% of the other person? 100%. So when I made my vow to my wife, I wasn't thinking, well, I'm only going to give her 50% and I'm going to say this other 50% for somebody else and she going to hold on to her 50%. What are we doing? Again, why are we amending the covenant? So why are we sitting here trying to change something that shouldn't be changed? Because now, Charles, now we have to question our loyalty. We have to question our ability to trust. We have to question the worth and the value of our commitment.
Yeah.
Come on.
So the conversation I had got a little deep with another side of it. Okay. And they were saying, look, and this is a woman, and she was just pretty much like, listen, y'all, let's just be honest. A lot, and she was just as confident and stoic. She said a lot of people are not monogamous.
Wow.
They are not. She said people tell you what they want, but people aren't monogamous. She said people find a way to do what they want to do. Wow. So she said, so the way I looked at it with my husband was, it's like we are expressing ourselves in the open. There is no, I don't have to know, wondered if he cheating with the lady at the job. I already know Sandra's name. He don't have to do this, that, and the other because I already, he know the dude I'm messing with. And when we do the group thing or whatever, it's all out in the open. That's what, and she was thinking, she said, and you can call me crazy or whatever, but to me, I would much rather know to be in the know than guess what my husband is doing if he's doing things behind my back. So she said, for me, this is the way I look at it. And so, it was a testy thing. And so what she was saying, some of it sounded like it made sense. But at the end of the day, we got to go back to the point. And I told her this, and she got a little quiet. I said, that's a strong point that you make. I said, but let's go back to the behavior. Because the behavior is a sign that something is not aligned.
Yeah.
If the person cannot stop being monogamous, that's a sign. Right. And we know what I said to her. I said, let me see what I had wrote down. I said, hold on. I said, misalignment comes at a cost. And I said, what am I saying? I said, being equally yoked, not just in a spiritual way, but I said it matters. When you break a bone, in order for it to heal properly, it has to be properly set or it will be misaligned, thus altering your normal physicalities going forward.
Yeah.
So I said, in the marriage perspective, I said, when there are misalignments that you agree to, you know, if you don't necessarily care for something, yeah, you can't stop somebody from cheating or doing whatever if they're going to do it. But if you agree to it, you are now agreeing to the misalignment of the setting. It's not going to go back to be set the same. Yeah. So now the marriage will have a limp because you agreed to that. So my point is, and I said, so I understand. I said everybody has their way of looking at it, but I said you can't tell me though. No person likes to not feel like they're adequate, like they're not adequate, and that they're not enough for their partner, especially your spouse. Because when you get to the point, you can do all the goofiness you want to do as a man and woman and girlfriend, whatever you do, right? But if you say, I want to take this to the next level and I chose to commit exclusively to you, then you need to know that everything in that bag is suitable for you, including intimacy. And if it is not, or if you have a problem with intimacy, you should wait until you get it under control. Right. Because there is not enough to just go into marriage and say, well, I'm a man, I got a thing, so I got to use it on more than you. I mean, as much as we may want to believe that sometimes, Adam. But anyway, it's not legit. It ain't legitimate, and it's not backed up by anything. It is, you know, again, we living in the last days, period, point blank. And this is the reason why we are running more and more away from monogamy. Heck, monogamy is considered, listen, people ain't going to say this out loud, but there is an underground community, Adam, that calls the marital-minded people lame. That's lame nowadays because you're not living the way you were expected to live. To have more than one this and more than have all of these things, as long as it's an understanding, this is how kings and so back in this day lived, right? So this is what should be happening. But really what's happening is we're seeing a lack of discipline on display. That's all it really is. It's no discipline. So let me tell you another thing I was in my preaching mode, Adam. Let me tell you, the other day, I saw the scripture. Let me tell you, I quickly broke it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But 2 Timothy 3, it says, in the last days, perilous times will come. And it says, men becoming lovers of themselves. Right. So when I hear that, I hear selfishness.
Yep.
Then it says, truce breakers.
Wow.
I hear disloyalty.
Wow.
Then it says proud. I hear arrogant.
Yeah.
Then it says blasphemers, people with no morals. Morals are leaving.
Okay.
Then it says unthankful, ungrateful people, right? People, you can do whatever you want to somebody and they ungrateful. Yeah. Then it says unholy, evil. Right? Then it says false accusers, liars.
Yeah.
Then it says despisers, haters. That's what we got. And lastly, incontinent. That means people do not have self-control.
Wow.
So if we look at all of those things, and this is talking about this is happening in the last days, you got to know why it's important to have faith at the center, whatever your faith is.
Yeah.
Needs to be at the center of your. If you don't have the faith, Adam, and I'm learning this even as I've been raised in church. I've known some of these things, but I haven't applied them, right? But I will say, faith. What I've learned is having faith at the center of your relationship is what unctions grace to cover it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Absolutely.
If you don't have grace, I'm gonna give you a real brazen example.
Okay.
When we are at home, we will sleep. We get married to say we're gonna sleep with the same person for the rest of our lives.
That's
right?
That's right.
But as a couple, we will not eat the same meal for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
We want to go get steak this time, Chinese. We want to do all of these options, trading post options to eat. Okay. But in our minds, we're supposed to not do that intimately. This is an example of grace. If there was no grace, nobody eats leftovers for more than 2 to 3 days. So married people are gnawing and chewing on leftovers for the rest of their life. It don't happen if less grace is not applied. Nobody is not going to do that unless grace. See, here's the thing. I feel like the reason we are so open, agreeable, and sharing, and the reason it is happening at an alarming rate, and here's the eye-opening part about it, because God is angry. And you know why he's angry at him? Okay. Because we are choosing to forego faith because of someone's resources, because of how consistent they are. You know, God is a jealous God, right? So he wants you to consort him. He is your source to you and your person and your spouse or whatever that case is. So when you feel you can do life without him, he lets you do life without him. And so what's happening now is people are seeing what happens when that hedge of grace is down. And now you got the spouse that you met in church that in a million years you would have never thought they would have came home and said, "Now, baby, you know, Evangelist Williams said she would have come to the hotel with us and be in a bed." And a wife, here come your holy wife that just got finished praying for somebody. John, are you serious? Yes. This is the day we living in. Like, people are no longer ignoring their flesh. That's why I'm gonna be honest. I know I have to adjust my thoughts on this area. But Adam, I don't put confidence in nobody.
Wow.
Listen, people that look you square in the face will lie to you, cheat right on you, and be calling themselves your man or your woman, and be having alternative worlds.
Wow.
And they figure like, if you don't understand, then if you don't know, it ain't gonna affect you. But trust me, a lie turns into an action. So behind lies are fire. Make no mistake about it. A lie just ain't standing up for no reason. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. So let's make the lie the smoke. The fire is the action that comes behind it. So my point is, we got to be realistic. People are not starving themselves. They aren't. They are not eating leftovers, right? They're doing what they want to do. And if you're an undisciplined person, when it comes to arguments, or like I said before, having disagreements, disagreements within a marriage or a relationship is not a pass to go somewhere else.
Right. It's not.
But when we act undisciplined, it's like, you got me twisted. I'm going on over here. Listen, we've been guilty. I've been guilty of it. Yeah, wow. I've been guilty of it. We get in our way as a form of self-protection, as we call it. We looking out for ourselves selfishly. So you think you're going to pull this on me or deny me of this or treat me this way? Cool. I'm over here, which is wrong, because ultimately, if you're going to go over there and you're going to stay over there, you need to be done over here. It's selfish to stay here and go over there and come back, right? And so this is the genre of people that we live in now. We live in a selfish group of people that are just like, listen, if you're not willing to do this, because now what we're doing, like I always say, is we're leading with honesty, which is the new deceit. Wow. Honesty is the new deceit. People will tell you everything for real, but what's behind the veil is still wrong. Yeah, I want you to know I got a husband. I mean, he travel, he on the road, he's a truck driver. I mean, but if you okay with it, I like to hang out with you. Okay, you're telling me you got a husband that he drives.
Right.
you're still a married woman, right?
Right.
Somebody said this to me, by the way. But anyway, you're a married person, and saying, they wanted to hang out and they think I was cool or whatever. And I'm like, but you have a husband. And I just told you he's on the road. And I said, well, how does that change the arrangement? And she was just like, I'm just saying, some people look at things on a different maturity level. I said, that's not mature.
That's not mature at all.
So, but anyway, so the point I'm saying is people will get you into these things or attempt to and have you out here crazy connected to something that's wicked. And so, that's why I said nowadays you got to, I know we've tried, many of us who have been aware of faith and grace. Listen, whatever that you're attached to, you need to make sure grace is applied over it.
Yeah.
And let's stop making the mistake of trusting in a person and what they've shown us so far. They're so good and great. You understand what I'm saying? And all this kind of stuff like this. And that's not to say a person can't have good intent initially, but good intent can still become malicious intent if there's no grace applied. So my point is, that's why I said you got to come as a couple. It's a mature movement, but just say, hey, I know we have something good, and I know we've taken this for granted for a while, but we really, really need to make sure faith is at the feet of what we're doing, because this ain't going to work if we don't. If there is no conviction for you or conviction for me, this is not going to work, because I'm going to fall back into my normal patterns, and you're going to do your normal deflective and defensive patterns, and we're going to both be in other places. So that's why we got to make sure on tonight, Adam, that faith is applied. We can't listen, and nobody is off limits, married or single. If you think you can trust in someone's flesh, you will be disappointed. You got to have faith applied to it, and that grace with you, so that God knows at least you're honoring him, and whether your person becomes a truce breaker or not, which people are doing, he still then says, you know what, I'm not going to put too much on him than that him or her that they can bear. So this is happening, but I'm going to apply grace so that they don't end up in a mental hospital. You understand what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And so this is where we at. And it's like, the problem is, listen, Bruce talks about this all the time, about people fitting into your system. And men need to stand on that as leaders. Gone are the days of negotiating our position. We are men. We were brought here to lead, period, point blank. So when we connect with our partners, we have to ensure that partner is like, we're not here to be competitors. We're here to be complementers of one another. So you need to make sure that that's what's happening. There is complementing going on, not competing, not talking down to somebody because maybe the lady makes more than him, or her situation may look a little better on paper. It doesn't negate who God called him to be. He's still a man. He still is charged to lead. Because guess what? Whether you disrespect him or not, he's still held accountable by God to lead and be in his likeness. So I think that's where we are going wrong at today. I'm sorry, I'm gonna got carried away.
You got on that soapbox, and you just stayed on that soapbox, dude. You just stayed right there on that soapbox.
Man, we messed up today.
So something just occurred to me, and I just want to ask a question, and I want to see how many of us had thought about this, and I just want to see where we are with this. So how is it that we're able to treat our jobs better than we treat those that we are in relationship with? Wow. I just find it interesting, because it kind of goes to the thought of, what do we consider to be the most important thing in our lives? We go to our jobs every day. If you work from home, then you're logged on at a certain time every day.
Yeah.
Without fail. So does that mean that I'm faithful to my job? Yeah. Does that mean that I'm committed to my job?
Yeah.
Because you go to your job every single day. Every single day. Without fail.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, some of us who don't want to be late for our job will run out of the house because we don't want to be late for our job. We want to be there when we're supposed to be there because, Charles, listen, this is a part of the agreement that we have.
Yeah.
It's a part of the agreement. We don't want to deviate from that.
To show up. We show up
on our job to do what we're supposed to do because we have been given a certain level of responsibility and task that compiles our job. Our job is to do such and such while we are here, 7.5, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. This is where we are.
Yeah.
We're working our jobs. We're doing what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to be there. Which means, Charles, our jobs are important to us. They are a priority in all of our lives. Without our jobs, we don't earn an income. Without that income, we're not able to pay rent or mortgage. We're not able to buy food. We're not able to buy clothes. We can't buy a car. We can't get gas. And this is how important our jobs are because they supply us with the income necessary to do what we need to do within our own lives.
Wow.
So how is it that we treat our jobs with a greater degree of respect and importance? But when it comes to the ones who we say that we love, we kind of fall short on that in our relationships. So Charles, I don't necessarily want to rebuff what you said about not having trust in flesh. I get that. I understand that part because we are not to trust in the arm of man. Absolutely not. But our jobs we have trust in us. To be at our jobs at 8 a.m. in the morning and to be doing what we're supposed to be doing. So that denotes a certain level of trust because they're expecting us, watch this, Charles, they're expecting us to be faithful to whatever we have been called to do. I'm supposed to be faithful to my job. I'm supposed to be loyal to my job. I'm supposed to act in fidelity and in commitment to my job. But when it comes to the relationships that we have with one another, we're not faithful. And listen, Charles, what if I decided on my job to bring somebody else in to try to do my job? But they don't want to do my job.
Wow.
You don't think I would get fired?
They're gonna like, what gives you the nerve to violate?
To bring another person in to do what we hired you to do.
Wow. Look, should we hire them? Right. Right.
But yet we have, I'm gonna say it like this. We have put relationships on such a low regard. To the married folk that are listening, you got to see your marriage as more important than anything else in your life. You got to see it as important. You got to see it as a priority. Because the moment that you don't see it as a priority in your life, then you're going to treat it like any other thing.
Wow.
You're gonna treat it because with less regard because it's not as important. It's funny how we make the most unimportant thing, the most important thing in our lives. It's funny how we can take the ridiculous stuff in our lives and make it the most pertinent things in our lives.
Wow.
Listen, y'all, listen. My wife, she has all of my attention.
Wow.
All the time. My relationship with my wife, my marriage, is the most important thing in my life. Right. You want to know how important it is in my life, Charles? You want to know how important my marriage and my wife is to me?
Yeah.
Every single day, when I get up at 6 a.m., the first thing I'm doing is praying for my marriage. Without fail. Now, I pray for my family, and I pray for myself, and I pray for my friends.
Yeah.
But at the top of that list is my marriage.
Yeah.
Without fail.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because it's important to me.
Yeah.
If I'm in a relationship with somebody and they are for me and I'm for them, it means that you are important to me. And I'm not going to bring anybody else into this because they don't qualify to be in this. You are a part of me and you are important to me. I think, again, we need to reassess some things in our lives. We need to sit here and reevaluate what's important to us because I think we got some things that are high up on that list that need to come down.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm going to be quiet after this. We understand that relationships and marriage take work. Yes, there are going to be times that you do not agree on everything. Yes, you're going to have arguments. Yes, you're not going to always see eye to eye. Yes, you're going to want to walk away sometimes. But because I am faithful to you, because I love you, and because you are important to me, I'm not willing just to walk away.
Wow.
Just like on your job. Watch this, y'all. When you get that bad review, when you get that negative evaluation, you just don't walk away.
Yeah.
And if the employer wanted to fire you,
they
you
could
would have already been fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they see value in you. And because you bring value to the firm, they don't get rid of you. What do? They tell you, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to fix. This is what you need to correct.
Yeah.
So we can move on
from
to bigger and better things. So how important is your relationship in your life?
Wow. And we need to, and when you were saying that part about the jobs, what I have learned is the difference is the reason so many people appear to be more loyal to the job than they are to the relationship or the marriage. It's the way they see the return. Some people say, well, good, bad, or indifferent, whether once a month, every 2 weeks, or once a week, Caesar is paying me I work for. In this relationship, you may not take me on that trip you said you was. We may not go on a date every two nights a week, like you said. We didn't purchase that new home like you said we would in 2 years when we save our money up. So when you're not seeing the return, your faith closes up a little bit. But on the job, we know you cannot like the job, but they're gonna pay you. So you're gonna look at your paycheck and you wake up on Friday morning, is clockwork is right there. Yeah. So if we saw relationships the same way, if people deliver goodness to us on the dime, you would see people value relationships different. Now the difference is a corporation and a relationship between people whose moods can change like the day, which will affect the relationship. It's two different things. Okay. The business is financially based.
Right.
They're not going to put no feelings in it.
Right.
So it's like being in love with the person who's emotionally unavailable all the time, not showing you no love at all. In a relationship, you're at least going to fuss and argue, kiss and make up. In the corporation side, you either doing what we brought you here to do, or you're gonna be put in a performance improvement plan and then let go. It's cutting to the dry. So the point is, we need to reevaluate how we see the returns in love and the way we see returns at work. Yes, your money is your money, but you can go anywhere and get that same check. but you're not going to go anywhere and get the same love.
Oh, that's right.
You might get someone else to be there and lay with you, sleep with you, take you on a trip, but they're not the same person. Yeah. And they're not going to have the same level of empathy for you, the same level of, like you say, get up in the morning and pray for your wife. These men will get up and look over in the bed and be like, I married you anyway. They ain't getting up praying for nobody. They getting up resentful. Yeah. Believe me, there are a lot of men and women that wake up resentful, looking over it like, why not choose you anyway? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get what you. So real quick. So yeah, no, you know, so even though it happens every day, doesn't necessarily mean, if we're being honest with the fact that we're like, hoo-hoo, it's all fun and games over here. Right. No, there are some days where I'm like, you know, oh my God, what's going on? However, the love remains. Yeah. And because the love remains, I do what I got to do.
Wow.
Until the feelings catch up with the reality. Here we go.
Wow.
You might be feeling what you change it. You know what I'm saying? So check this out, Charles. You know what I realized? I realized that I can't go and get another job while I still have the same job that I have right now. You know what that's called? That's called moonlighting.
Moonlighting. Yes.
You know why? Because I have to be faithful to the job that I got first before I got the second one.
Yeah.
I got to make sure there's not a conflict in between, because my job, because they pay me the way that they pay me, they want to guarantee that I'm not going anywhere else to work for another firm.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So they can lock me in.
Yeah.
Y'all don't want to be locked in. Y'all want
to have options. Want to have options.
They want to have options. We're not paying you to have options. We're paying you to be here. We're paying you to do what you're supposed to do, because that's what we hired you to do.
Look, the cost of covenant does not allot for options.
It doesn't.
The cost, the insurance of that cost is for the two parties involved.
Yes.
We have made it. You know what happens when you get a certain amount of insurance for your car, and then when they find out, wait a minute, you let Adam drive, he wasn't a part of the plan. Adam wasn't in the insurance binder. He wasn't in the, this was only for you and your family, not for these extra people involved in the vehicle. So when we go involving other people in it, we're putting our marriage in an uninsurable position.
Wow.
So we need to think about that. So think about it. You open up your marriage, and guess what? Somebody contracts HIV. Because every time when you under the influence, drinking and high, you ain't all smart and safe.
Right.
Every single time. You may be like, I got this and that, but not every time. Sometimes that takes over, and the lust takes over, and you gone.
Yeah.
So, you gotta, man, you gotta think about that.
The reality is, Charles, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, that we not only do we lack discipline, we don't want to be disciplined.
Yeah.
We don't want to be disciplined because it means I have to say no to my flesh. I have to say no to what I want to do. I have to say no to me. I desire what I desire. And I don't care what anybody else says to me. That's what I want. But the reality is, what you want is not what you need. I already said it. I'm going to continue to say it. You got to make a differentiate between these things. You got to be able to say no sometimes to yourself. Say no. Why? But we live in a society, Charles, where everything is yes all the time, with no restraint, no guardrails. We're just out there doing whatever, whenever, to whoever we want to do it to, without regard to the consequence of our decisions, all because we don't want to be disciplined.
That's it.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to be quiet after this. Either you exercise your own discipline on yourself. Paul said like this, I beat my body and I bring it under submission.
Wow.
Since we want to go Bible, let's go Bible. And I know y'all don't really want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Either we discipline ourselves, or we will be disciplined.
Wow. That's real talk, and it will happen.
Which one do you want? That's the question you have to ask. Either I discipline myself today, or I will be disciplined tomorrow. Because I guarantee you, as much as you may not want to admit it, the stuff that you're sowing now
Wow.
The seeds
Will come up.
They're coming back, boo.
Yeah.
They're coming back. And guaranteed, they're not coming back as seeds. They're coming back as full bumper crops of whatever you sowed. So check yourself. Either discipline yourself today.
Yeah.
Check yourself today. Say no today, or you will be disciplined tomorrow. Guaranteed.
That's good stuff. You said that part about the part where you said about no guardrails. I had something where I said, love without faith is love without walls.
Wow.
No foundation to support it.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that to say belief is a huge part of love. And so if we're going to have something and we got to, like, you know how they always say stand on business, then stand on the business of love.
Yes.
That's what you sign up for. And that's what you believe in your person. Because listen, because we are in these last days, you are meeting people that are more, they're well dressed and put together, but minimal on discipline.
Right.
And so what's happening is people are love bombing experts. They're coming in with parachutes and taking you all over the place. But discipline, they want you to go along with what their deficit is. Yeah. I just want you to know, now I'm taking you to Brazil, but I'm going to see the other 4 when I get back. Now I tell you, I'm gonna take care of you now. Don't worry about it. You'll be satisfied. And that's the mentality we at. It's like, as long as I'm delivering, as long as I got the bag, as long as I'm looking good, you looking good, don't complain. Just go along with this lasciviousness. Wow. That's what's happening today. Everything today is flesh. Everybody's trying to beautify the flesh. We trying to do extra this, extra that. Blah. Oh, I need some more this. You're like, oh my God. At the end of the day, nothing about what we look like can conduct a satisfactory experience of love. It's not about what you look like. It's not about what your body, what he done added, what his chisel. None of that. All that is tinkling brass. And flex vanity and vexation of spirit. None of it is it's true soul satisfaction. None of it about that. Yeah, it's good. You want to play around and be lustful and do all that. All right, in the moment. But I don't know about nobody else. But if you follow the pathway of lust enough, each time you follow it, the road back is shorter and shorter because the satisfaction thrill becomes non-existent. In the moment, you think you gotta have it, but as soon as you have it, all right, I'm ready to go ahead on home. Why? Yeah, I'll talk to you later, because the thrill is gone, because it wasn't based on anything but a thrill. But we, in the heat of things, a man and a woman will say anything to get satisfied, right? And after that's over with, you see what you're dealing with. So yeah, Bruce said
I'm gonna jump on this last jump right
here. All right, go ahead.
Bruce said, "What now? She can't be."
Can't be a little. I'm telling you, but listen, man.
I just want to say this to the whole lust idea, and I walk around with this understanding it, and I want y'all to understand this too. And you might have heard this before, but the reality is that lust is never satisfied. Never satisfied. It always wants more. It always wants more. So even though you think you might have gotten it this time, that satisfaction only lasts for a little while. And the longer you continue in that, the shorter that satisfaction lasts. Wow. To the point where, like you said, Charles, it's just non-existent at this point, because lust is never satisfied. It is a bottomless pit. It is literally endless. You'll never satisfied. That's why you have to learn how to say no. That's why you have to learn how to self-discipline.
And the last part I'll add on here, if you got something to say, is
I'm good.
When it comes, a lot of the reasons we are quick to run to seeing if we can be open and trendy and have this trading post type of relationship, right, is because we live in a time where we expect people who are to be our forevers to show up perfect.
Wow.
And when they don't show up perfect, we immediately look for alternative measures.
Okay.
But in the word it talks about, when it talks about marriage, it says, and the two shall become one flesh.
That's right.
When I hear the two shall become, I hear over time. There is not a perfect thing today.
Yeah.
That means you grow into what it should be. That relationship, it cooks and simmers at a good degree, and it simmers over time until it gets to a point. A lot of times you won't see a couple in a very, very consistent way about them until some time has passed. You know, we always think, oh my God, you got married last year, y'all are great. There'd be some of the most hellish years initially because they're becoming one. Right. And when you becoming one, that means there's some stretching going on, which means discomfort.
Yeah.
It's not perfect all the time. It's a good thing that you are in covenant, but as long as you are under the understanding that there will be some stretching and adjusting, and so let's just stop expecting people to show up in perfect condition. There is no such thing. Everybody comes from anything that comes out of the dirt, Adam, has debris on them. We all come from the dirt, and we got debris, and we all have came from our own dirt that we don't like to acknowledge, right? We come from dirt. So when you come out of the dirt, you're going to have debris on you to deal with, and just putting water on there ain't going to do nothing but make it muddy. So you got to deal with what you got, and be patient, and don't be judgmental, and be understanding, and work through things, and realize that not everybody is where you are. It's good if you think you're in a great place, great, but it's great to you. It may not be great overall, it's just great to you. So be humble about it and be understanding and look at this thing on both sides. What did Bruce say? A man has to have principle-based love. Principles set personal boundaries for us. That is facts.
I would agree. Yeah. You know what's funny? I was sitting there thinking, you was talking about the fact that, you know, when we meet our significant other, they are not perfect the way that we expect them to be.
Yeah.
And not that I thought that Maria was perfect when I first saw her, but I thought that she was perfect for me. When I saw her, she wasn't.
Well, I'm joking. I'm teasing. Go ahead.
She out of I got to represent.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. No, I'm just saying that.
My point is saying that is that you are absolutely right when you say that it is a process.
Yeah.
It is a process of growth, development, and maturity. That we are not where we were when we first met. We are not where we were 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
We have grown, we have changed, we have developed, we have matured within our relationship and as individual people. And all of this growth and development is what makes us one. Because we're doing it together, not separate.
That's good.
We're not introducing other foreign elements into our covenant.
Yeah.
It's just me and her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Man, that's good. That's good, y'all. So at the end of the day, if you are introduced into something that someone is calling commitment, remember, it's either we are committing or we sharing. We can't do both. Sharing, we don't need to be in covenant. We can play all day in unmarried, and if you want to be foolish and do everything, knock yourself out. But you can't mix sharing and commitment. They go against each other. And I don't care how smooth it comes off the tongue of a man or a woman, it ain't right. Bottom line.
It ain't never that
right. Yeah. These things that are happening today is why many of us are in mental institutions. People are trying to be strong and pretend and wearing masks to make it feel like they're able to weather what their partner is bringing. But people already come to marriages, Adam, with low self-esteem. They have trauma from their childhood. So then you're going to take all of that simply because they got a pretty face or a handsome face and they look well and think you're going to slap on them. Okay, now that you're here and I love you, I do want you to know welcome to the new life of sharing because we're going to be open. That messed somebody up. That messes your reality up to whether you think in the moment you're going to get what you need to get out of it. It's going to forever leave a tattoo on you to make you feel like you're not enough. And you got to stand on being enough, whether they don't or not. So that's it. All right. Well, anyway, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to another week of Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where today we talked about swapping out and commitment. That's like today, that's the plight that we're dealing with today with a lot of these quote unquote relationships. Many of you are meeting people that you're looking to be the one and all these, and I guarantee you somewhere in that conversation is, what do you think about this? You're open to that? It's just a common conversation now. It's not even something that's hidden like it used to be and so covert. Now it's open. People are having parties right in front of you. Listen, many of you all are getting invites right on social media to these groups. Will these people do this? Let's keep it real. So it's happening amongst you. You just gotta have a partner that you on the same page to say, listen, are we on the page of commitment, mano y mano, or are we on the page of commitment / let's be open to everything else? And when you get that established first, and then go on from there. Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you guys next week, same time, same back channel. Unless anything changes, it'll be 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Holla.
The doors of the Love Church are
Yeah. Don't nobody want to share.
Ain't nobody sharing. I told you, I'm stingy. I'm selfish. No, we're not doing that. We ain't doing it.
So here's another side of it. Like I always say, we practice what we wish to perfect.
Okay.
So if you are with a partner that has perfected sharing you and looking you in the face and telling you that they love you too, they have practiced this for a minute.
Oh yeah.
To get to this point, to be that numb and that poised, that's a scary person. So make no mistake about it. Sharing means if you are going to let me convince you that you are not enough so that I can do what I want to do, that's what it is. That's what sharing is. Let me convince you, because I'm saying convince you because you are enough, but I'm going to convince your mind to think that you're not enough so that I can get what I ultimately want out of it, which is to love in your face.
Right.
Basically, playing right in your face. So if you want to get out of the business of plain sight foolery, say no to the sharing. I don't care if you think you know who the person messing with. If you got to follow them with a flashlight, then guess what? You're going down the wrong path. If a person want to run from you, you got to let them go. You can't chase them. You want to, not only will you exhaust your spirit, but you will drive yourself into the crazy house.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Next
well,
time.
Are we done? We done talking?
Yeah, we're done. That's it.
Okay, well. All right, bye, y'all. Y'all have a good evening.